A 1-2, and my name is Bismarck. Just let me do this rhyme and let me embark on the lyric of the noun and the verb. This is your friendly neighborhood Rabbi John Carrier, and I am here today to introduce the Jew Curious Show. Today is Fun Friday, meaning we are going to be playing some video games, but we are also going to be answering whatever questions you have about the upcoming holiday of Yom Kippur. And if you have some reactions to your experience of Rosh Hashanah, questions, things you saw in the service that you're wondering about, or just want to share what a great time you had, please join us today on the Jew Curious Show to let us know how it's going, ask your questions, and just hang out with us for a little while. We will be starting right after this musical interlude. All right, that is quite enough interlude. Thank you for tuning in. Nawa64 says, Shalom, y'all. How did you know that that's what's printed on my belt buckle? In any case, we are about to get started with Super Mario Odyssey. Today it is Fun Friday. Normally, what we do on Friday mornings is we play a little bit of video games to have some fun, but I'm also here to answer whatever questions you have. Welcome to the Jew Curious Show. If you are curious about Judaism, wherever you are coming from, if you're Jewish, not Jewish quite yet, if you are a spiritual seeker, trying out different paths, if you are committed to another faith, but you are curious about the Jewish roots of your own tradition, you are in the right place. And in just a second, we're going to get started with the Jew Curious Show. We are going to answer whatever questions you have about what you experienced at Rosh Hashanah, what questions you have about the upcoming holiday of Yom Kippur, happening next week. I'm happy to see some regulars here, some Nawa64, Kara Amelie, KG Wilcox, D. Willexen in the house, and we'll get started in just a minute. But it's only fair that you see my face. There it is, right there. That's my face. So, hey everybody, welcome to the Jew Curious Show. I'm your friendly neighborhood Rabbi, John Carrier, and I can't wait to find out what your experience was like of the Rosh Hashanah holidays. If you were able to go to a synagogue or live stream a service or anything like that, tell me about it. Like, what was it like for you? I will, spoiler alert, mine was awesome. Like, I had one of the best Rosh Hashanah experiences I've ever had. It had to do with the community that I was in, the people that I was working with, and I do mean working, like working for that holiday. I'm a rabbi, that's a working day for me. But I had an amazing cantor to work with and celebrate with, an amazing davening team, people singing and sharing their voices, sharing their music. We had a bunch of guest speakers come to our synagogue and talk about their own Jewish experiences. And I gave some sermons that I felt pretty good about that are going to be available online very soon. So more about that in a minute. But I just want to hear, did you have a good experience of Rosh Hashanah? Did you have a bad experience of Rosh Hashanah? Did you have an experience that you really don't know how to feel about it? Like this is a 4+ hour service. How did it go for you? There are prayers that we don't have any other time of the year. What was that like for you? So whatever you want to share about your Rosh Hashanah experience, I'd love to hear about it. I have to say, I am so proud of this community. Sometimes online communities can be a little bit tense. I have certain feelings about the political environment these days. I shared them this morning, and immediately there were some people going back and forth, questioning my assumptions, questioning each other's assumptions. And sometimes, whether you're on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, online communities can be mean, they can be tense, they can be anxiety provoking. But I have to say, this Jew Curious community is the nicest online community I've ever been a part of. And so Yasher Koach to all of you out there who make this a nice place, who support each other, who are just genuinely curious without judging other people. So if you want to share your experiences in this forum, on the live chat, we are simulcasting to YouTube, to Facebook, to the Twitch network, which is where we're broadcasting from. Whatever you want to share, please feel free to share it, knowing that this is the kindest, nicest, most empathetic community that I've ever been a part of. So if you want to lurk, that's fine too. That's good live radio. If you want to lurk, that's fine too. Just show up to learn. That's cool. If you want to let me know who you are, where you're coming from, that's always nice. We've got people here from East Coast, West Coast, Mountain Time. We're often international, y'all. So let me know where you're coming from. Give us a big, high five from Cyprus or Australia or Thailand. That's different places our members have come from. Let us know how your Rosh Hashanah experience was. Maybe your Rosh Hashanah experience wasn't. Maybe you didn't get to celebrate this year, but you want to maybe next year. You're curious about what it's like. Wherever you're coming from, your comments, your questions, your high fives, your Yasher Koachs are welcome. So let us know. I see KG Wilcox, Cara Amelie is in the house. So I just want to read a few comments that we've gotten so far. I'm just so excited this morning. Hold on, gotta get a little move juice in there. Pretty sure that's Folgers Crystals, not the new good Swiss coffee that we have. That's okay. I'm a big fan of the Folgers. Don't get any money from the Folgers people. But let's see who is joining us today. We've got Nawa64 from Colorado. Thank you for coming in. Cara Amelie says, hey, y'all. Cara Amelie says, my first Fun Friday. Fun Friday. From Friday? No, hardly. My first Fun Friday. Usually miss it. Nice to have you here, Cara. Diwalexon says, Boker Tov Lekulam. That means good morning, everybody. KG Wilcox coming in from Philadelphia. Boger Or Diwalexon says, Toda Rabah. KG Wilcox. KG Wilcox says, did my apology get lost? That's a good question. Let's see. Cara Amelie says, definitely good experience. KG Wilcox says, I had a good Rosh Hashanah, my first time as a choir member. Very cool. Lots of work, but rewarding. So I'll just share with you my spouse, my wife, my life partner, is also a choir singer on Rosh Hashanah. She's a ringer in a choir at a very big synagogue here in Los Angeles. She is a soprano by training and by range. She does some alto stuff too, but she's actually been singing in high holidays choirs longer than I've been a rabbi. So she's been almost been like a Jewish professional longer than I have. She has been singing at a great synagogue called Valley Beth Shalom, and so she her music is how she connects to the holidays, and so that's been really cool to watch. Like, I connect to holidays by calling page numbers and giving sermons. That's my deal. I'm a rabbi. But if you had a great choir experience, that's awesome. We have some of the most amazing music this time of year. There are prayers that we don't have any other time of the year, and they've received the attention of composers and things like that. I will say, when I can share what we did on High Holy Days, like we had a live stream situation at my synagogue, and there were some recordings of that as well. So when I can share that, I will share that. But up top to you, KG Wilcox, for being in the choir for the High Holy Days. I think that really lifts people's spirits up. So, Yasher Koach. Let's see. Cara Amelie says, I wanted to cry during Avinu Malkeinu. I am with you. I am a weepy dude. Some people don't know this about me. My closest friends and family members know that I am a weepy dude. Like, when we get to the some of the prayers of the holidays, I just can't keep it together. I'm like, my allergy medicine is acting up. I'm not crying, you're crying. That kind of stuff. So I am with you 100%. Let's see. KG Wilcox says, wow, Sri Lanka and Germany. Who's here from Sri Lanka? Oh my goodness gracious. So I have to say, some of my best friends of my entire life have been people who came from Sri Lanka. So the best man at my first wedding was from Sri Lanka. One of my greatest friends from college one of my greatest friends from high school from Sri Lanka. So let's see who is here from there. I'm going to go into the multi-chat situation. Wow, oh my goodness gracious, so many people here today. This is challenging my reading glasses, my bifocals. So let's see. My goodness, Jew Curious is now live. Let's see. Shalom Y'all says Nawa 64. We have Jewish Life. Can you tell if you can convicted to Jewish at online? I don't understand what that means. There's Car Amelie says, hey y'all, this is a new thing for us. We are now able to see the chat from Twitch, from Facebook, from YouTube simultaneously. So there's a lot of stuff coming in right now. Jewish Life says Shabbat Solomon. Okay. Going over this, Pretzel Rocks is playing some songs. Boker Tov. Let's see. Vanna 70 from YouTube says, yes, Rosh Hashanah question, Netilat Yadayim, the washing of the hands before the breaking of the bread. I've seen different versions. Is it 3 times each hand or alternating left hand first? So I will share. This is a great question. This is a particular thing that we do during Kiddush, during Hamotzi, so when we're breaking bread together before a meal on a holiday, we have this thing called Netilat Yadayim, which means raising the hands. And so what happens is you do Kiddush, that's the blessing with a cup of wine or grape juice or what have you, that is a blessing not for the wine itself, but for the sanctity of the day. And so you do that, and then you break bread. But before you break bread, you wash your hands, right? This is a callback to how the Kohanim, the priests in the temple, would cleanse themselves before blessing the community by means of bread. And so for Netilat Yadayim, people would wash their hands. And it's not a hygienic hand washing, it is a spiritual hand washing. And so I'll share my custom is you pick up the cup in your left hand, you pick up the cup in your right hand, you pass it to your left hand, you wash your right hand first, and then your left hand, and then you alternate that 3 times. That's my particular custom. Like, you splash water on your right hand 3 times, and then your left hand 3 times, and then your right hand 3 times, and then your left hand 3 times, and then your right hand 3 times, and your left hand 3 times. So it's like 3 splashes, but alternating 3 times. And then you say this blessing, we bless God for giving us commandments that make our lives special, including the commandment to cleanse our hands before doing holy things. And so that's my particular practice is you use your left hand to wash your right hand first, and then you repeat that 3 times, and that's how I've been taught to do Netilat Yadayim. There may be different customs in different communities. One interesting custom for me has been often people will, take off wedding rings beforehand to make their hands completely clean, and this has caused some consternation in my family because recently I had this experience where, it's just a habit at this point. I take my ring off before and this is my wedding ring. This is one of the most important, if not the most important physical object I have in my life. I take it off and I put it in my pocket before I do Netilat Yadayim, before I do the hand washing. And there's a suit that I wear on Shabbat often that has a hole in its pocket. And I had this embarrassing experience where I customarily take off my ring, I put it in my pocket, and then I do Netilat Yadayim. But that pocket has a hole in it, and so I would put things in my pocket and it would fall right into my cuff, or it would fall into my shoe, or it would fall onto the floor. And I had like misplaced. I'm not proud of this, but I'm going to share with you, just very personal. I had misplaced my wedding ring for about a month, and I'll say I was upset. But not only I was upset that I couldn't find my wedding ring for about a month. Thank God Baruch Hashem, it turned up that I found my wedding ring. You know, we had some people come in and clean our home, and they found the wedding ring. It did not fall out of my pocket at the synagogue. I'd asked the people at the synagogue, like, look all over the place for my wedding ring. They couldn't find it. I'm like, oh, I'm doomed. I'm still, like, my wife knows we're still married, but I couldn't find my wedding ring, and I felt really sad about that. But then it emerged, and everything was okay. So that's my Netilat Yadayim story. So thank you for indulging me. Let's see what else is going on in Jewish life. How can I convert to Judaism? I've got some great videos on that on YouTube, like how do I become Jewish? So take a look there. Let's see. Ewalexon says, Tada Rabbi, KG Wilcox. KG Wilcox says, did my apology get lost? I hope not. Rosh Hashanah celebration, it was great, says Vanna 70 from YouTube. Mo Smith says, I have a question. If Ale has a tattoo forced upon him, e.g. the Holocaust tattoo on arm, then can he or she be buried in a Jewish cemetery? This is a great question. A lot of people hear this rule, halacha, I say in quotes, that a person with a tattoo can't be buried in a Jewish cemetery. This comes from a passage from the Torah where it says, you shall not scar your skin or get tattooed, you know, you shall not, like, mark your skin on behalf of someone who has passed or in mourning for someone who has died. And the Jewish tradition has said from that, like, we don't, generally speaking, get tattoos. And from that, there came what I'll call a bubba maisa, right? A bubba maisa, bubba means grandmother, maisa is a story, so a grandmother's story or an old wives' tale that if you have a tattoo, you can't be buried in a Jewish cemetery. And I say it's a bubba maisa. For the most part, this, like, no tattoo thing has been what grandmothers told their grandchildren to keep them from getting tattoos, right? If you have a tattoo, you can't be buried in a Jewish cemetery. And there may have been a time in our tradition where this was true, where if somebody had a tattoo on their skin, they couldn't be buried in a Jewish cemetery. Once the Holocaust happened and people were tattooed involuntarily, we could not possibly enforce this rule for people who were tattooed against their will. So if you're asking if somebody has a tattoo because it was forced upon them during the Shoah, during the time where, to keep track of prisoners in concentration camps, that people had tattoos put on their body, you know, that kind of, I'll say, for those folks, that went out the window. The idea that somebody else, you know, a Nazi or whoever, could put a tattoo on you and make your body unfit to be buried in a Jewish cemetery, forget about it. Like, that's, I know, I've been blessed to know many people who have survived the Holocaust, who have these tattoos on their body that were forced upon them, and God forbid we don't get to bury them in the Jewish cemetery. So for the most part, I will say that is a bubba maisa, that's an old wives' tale. That's what grandmothers tell to their grandchildren to keep them from getting tattoos, because it's not a Jewish thing to do necessarily. If you have a tattoo on your body because it was forced upon you, of course you can be buried in a Jewish cemetery. But I also know lots of Jews who have tattoos, right? For whatever reason in their life, they decided to get a tattoo. I have one right here that I got before I was Jewish. And so, you know, because it happened before I was Jewish, no rabbinic authority would say, you know, that I broke the law somehow. But for the most part, like, I do, I'm not trying to brag here, I do a fair number of funerals, you know, on a pretty regular basis. And I've never heard of a contemporary Jewish cemetery saying, oh, that person has a tattoo, forget about it. That's just not in force. Like, I want to say you shouldn't get a tattoo. Like, if you're trying to decide whether to get a tattoo, I would invite you to consider that your body was created in the image of God, right? There's no better template than that, right? And so if you're trying to decide, should I get a tattoo or not, just think about, your body is perfect as it is. Do you need to mark it up? However, if you already have tattoos for whatever reason, I'll say that you are beloved as a creature who was created in the image of the living God. And I don't know of a Jewish cemetery where I have done funerals that would say, oh, tattoo, never mind, can't be here. That's not really an operant thing. So if you have a tattoo and you're concerned about it, you can be less concerned about it. If you're thinking about getting a tattoo, think again. I remember I got mine when I was about 17, 18 years old, and sometimes people ask me what it means, because it's just like a little dinky thing right here, and they say, oh, what does your tattoo mean? I say, it means I was dumb when I was 17. Like, it means that I had this moment when I was 17 where I thought this would be a good idea, and it's on my body forever, and I regret it. I'm not, I don't have any immediate plans to get rid of it, because it sort of reminds me of the silliness of youth, and I think that's an important reminder sometimes. So I don't worry about it too much. So I hope that answers your question, Mo Smith. If you have a tattoo, don't worry too much about the whole being buried in a Jewish cemetery thing. If you know people who have a tattoo that was forced upon them in the Holocaust, all the more so that, we're not going to prevent somebody who survived such a crime that was out of their control to be buried in a Jewish cemetery. So thank you for asking that question. KG Wilcox says, I had a great Rosh Hashanah, my first time as a choir member. We talked about that. Cara Amelie said, I wanted to cry during Avinu Malkeinu. I get the same way. I'm a very emotional dude, especially when it comes to music. Let's see. Cara Amelie says, it was so lovely. KG Wilcox says, our pianist broke down and wept during Sim Shalom. She didn't miss a beat either. So my cantor, I'm going to say, it was like sort of during my sermon, not because my sermon was particularly beautiful, but because what I was talking about was so important to me. There were some moments during giving my sermon where I was like a little bit choky, and the cantor noticed, and she's like, good on you. So she was very kind to me for that. Let's see what else is going on here. Jewish life. There is no rabbi in my country. Is it possible to convert online? So I'll say this, just because I teach a class online for people who are considering to convert. For my opinion, you can't convert online, meaning you can't do the process of conversion itself. That really has to be local, in person. You can learn online. A significant piece of conversion is learning. Like, you have to learn about Judaism. You have to learn, what it means to be a Jew, what our history is, what our thoughts are, what is required of you as a Jewish person. That stuff you can learn online. When it comes to becoming Jewish and joining the family, you really need to do that. Like, you have to do that in a place with water. Like, you have to do that with a mikveh. And you have to do that with a Beit Din, that is 3 rabbis who question you, ascertain your sincerity, that you've done the learning. If at all possible, that should be done in person. I've heard of an online Beit Din that I thought was actually a great idea. This happened where there was an elderly woman from rural Australia, and this was through the, what's it called? I can't remember. There's an online program, and this woman had done all of her studying, but she was in rural Australia, like hours from a Jewish community, but she felt very strongly that she wanted to be a part of the Jewish people. And in that case, this particular school made an exception, and rabbis convened a Beit Din on Zoom or Skype or something like that, and they interviewed her live online and permitted her to join the Jewish people. But each of the rabbis there said, this is not the way we prefer to do it, but for this particular case, we'll make an exception. And so there have been conversions that occurred for the most part online. My personal opinion is that you should do it with rabbis locally, or often, I teach students online, and I put this out there. If somebody wants to come to LA and go to the Beit Din there and the mikveh there, but still they're flying to a place to do it in person. So, if you're joining a family, you really need to be connected to the people in that family, and you need to see them face to face. And that is what I would encourage you. If you're in a place that has no rabbis, it's a question like, can you live a Jewish life if you're in a place that have no rabbis? I say yes, possibly, especially with the communication tools that we have today. So go ahead and pursue that. Learn all you need to learn to become Jewish. But then once you get to the point where you want to become Jewish, you really need to find or travel to a particular Jewish community where you can do that in person. That's my teaching and encouragement. Let's see what else is going on here. Sorry, we've got a multi-chat, which is a good thing. We can take questions from Twitch and Facebook and YouTube simultaneously, but the print is terribly small, and I am getting terribly older. So I'm just going to squint here, and in just a second, I promise we're going to get to Mario Odyssey, but I want to answer what questions we have. Let's see. Kay Dixie says, checking in from California on YouTube as well. Glad to see you here, Kay Dixie. Let's see. Kay Dixie says, Jewish life, it's possible to do the studying part online. That's what we talked about. KG Wilcox says, wow, Sri Lanka and Germany. Welcome, everybody here from Sri Lanka and Germany. Jewish life says, I don't get to celebrity it. Okay, I don't quite understand what that means. Nawa64 says, hello from Colorado. Mo Smith, Rabbi meant to, in question, say a Jewish cemetery to be buried. I hope that makes sense. I think we addressed that. If not, please ask the question again. Let's see, Jewish life says how. Hi, everyone from Portugal. Portugal. That's pretty great. Sometimes we get Cyprus, but this might be a first from Portugal. Welcome from Portugal. D. Alexon says Shabbat Colorado, or Shalom Colorado. Let's see, Nawa64 says Rosh Hashanah was quiet for us, watched the live stream, and had a lovely dinner at home. That's a nice thing, too. I think this is a brave new world that has such things in it as live streaming. This year, my synagogue, Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center, did our first live streaming. Wasn't able to share that with this community just because it's our first time doing it, but it was really cool. What we found was there were 58 people tuned in during Rosh Hashanah day 1 in the morning, and that's there's synagogues that don't get 58 people, right? We had 58 different unique people watching our live streaming services for Rosh Hashanah, and I'll say for the most part, this is a new thing. Some people are concerned, and especially in synagogues, that if you offer things live streaming, that it means people won't come to the synagogue, which is sort of the ideal way to experience it. But for the most part, what I've heard from other people, from other rabbis who've tried this, other communities, is that when you live stream your services, you are enabling people who couldn't come to synagogue anyway to participate with the community. And I think that's a good thing. So especially people who are elderly or disabled or homebound in some respect are able to participate in communities in ways they couldn't otherwise, and I think that's a good thing. And we did that from Pasadena, and that was, I think, really successful. I think it was really nice that people who couldn't otherwise be there were able to see what we were doing. So let's see. Jewish Life says, can I get a number from anyone so I can call you? I'll say if anybody wants to put their number on live chat, that's okay. I don't put my personal cell number on live chat, but you can reach out to me through various things. Go on this channel, on the Jew Curious Show. There are ways to connect with me through Facebook, YouTube, what have you. Look for me, Rabbi John Carrier, on Facebook, and you can send me a personal message. That's fine. Let's see. Joel says, New Mexicali. Welcome from Mexicali. Nice to see you. Ocean Threat 2 says, I made it. Good to see you, Adam. Belmore from high school, from my fellow contributor to the Pontefract newspaper. So if anybody's an avid reader of the Pontefract, Ocean Threat 2 was an editor of that, and I was an avid contributor at some point. So nice to see you here. Ocean Threat 2 says, so much to atone for, so little time. Isn't it always the truth? Nice to see you here, brother. K. Dixie says there are a few online schools for learning. One example is the Jew Curious School. That's a school that we run here, that I run here online, and there's lots of ways to, we have a complete Intro to Judaism class, which is like all the things that you would learn in a conversion class. You can't convert online, but you can take the class to know all the things that you need to know, and that is in the Jew Curious School. That's a school that I run, and many people here on the chat are a part of that school. If you're on Twitch, which I encourage, twitch.tv/Jew Curious, in there is a link to the Jew Curious School where you can find out more about how to take the class you need to take online and then work toward your conversion locally if possible. Let's see. Most says, thank you, Rabbi, for the compliment to us. De nada. Seriously, I couldn't do this without the community that we have here. Let's see. Speaker AJ says, the Grand Elenu and the shofar got me good. I actually fell on my face for Grand Elenu, and it was humbling. So what Speaker AJ is talking about, Speaker AJ, longtime member of this community, recent, let's say, gang member of the Jewish people. That's not a great term for that, but the Grand Elenu is a thing that we only do during the High Holy Days, on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. If you're familiar with Jewish services, we have this thing called the Elenu, which means on us. Like, it's on us to praise God. It's our responsibility. On Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, during the Musaf service, during like the service after the Torah service, there is an Elenu that is the same thing where we bow before God, but instead of just bowing before God, there is a full prostration. I have to pronounce that word very carefully, where, and you might have seen this in, let's say, Muslim prayer or other modes of prayer, where usually we just bow, like we bend our knees and we bow forward. But the Grand Elenu, people actually get down on the ground, right? They like get down on their knees, elbows on the floor, hands on the floor, maybe forehead touching the floor, and we do a full prostration, like we bow before the Holy One. And it's the only time of the year that we do this. And it can be very powerful. When I'm in the synagogue, I say, do this with a buddy. Like, there's a lot of people for whom their knees don't work as well as they used to, and you don't want to be stuck down there. Do this with a buddy. Get out of your pew, get out of your little row, get on, go to the aisle, get down, and it is an incredible experience. And it's, for me, every single time. Where usually we do sort of a cursory bow or a short bow. Getting down on the ground and humbling yourself before God is a very intimate and very powerful experience. And so props to you for having that experience as well, Speaker AJ. Glad to have you here. Let's see, Jewish Life says, I want to be the only Jewish from Sri Lanka. I'm going to bet there are probably some other Jews in Sri Lanka already, so I don't want to burst your bubble, but you never know who might be there for you. Let's see. Putting your face on the ground for the Grand Elenu can be kind of a powerful spiritual humbling experience. Probably the first time I fell on my face intentionally. Usually it's because I'm clumsy. Yeah, there's a lot of times in the Torah where it says that Abraham or someone fell on their face before God. And that sounds like a clumsy thing to do. It's like he fell on his face or she fell on her face. Like, oops, I fell on my face. This is an intentional thing. It's an embodied experience of humbling yourself before the Holy One. And we only really do this as a part of our services on the High Holy Days. So take advantage, and we got Yom Kippur coming up, another chance to do that. So take advantage of that if you can, physically. Like, if you can't get down on the ground and get back up again, and that's where your body is, that's okay. But if you can take advantage of this, please do, and you will. I bet that you will feel like you've never felt before. So thanks for bringing that up, Speaker AJ. So K. Dixie is checking in from California. Let's see. Jewish Life says there are no Jews in Sri Lanka. I want to be the first one. You know, if you're the first Jew in Sri Lanka, up top, props to you. So I bet, I would be surprised if there are no other Jews in Sri Lanka. So ask around, because we're pretty much everywhere. So Vanna 70 says alternating hands is how I learned, but everyone did 3 times on each hand, so I wasn't sure. That's how I do it, but you know, different communities have different customs. Let's see. Danny says, if Mario collects coins, does that make him Jewish? Ha 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 ha. Ha. So no. No, he collects coins because he's Mario. Caramelly says, lol, alternating hands, da da da. Ocean Threat said, you are not alone. The struggle is real on the ring. So yes, that's the thing. Like, I take my ring off when I wash dishes, when I go to the gym, when I take a shower in the morning. So it's actually a miracle that I've kept the same ring for 12 years now and counting, God willing, and counting. So I'm glad I found it again. Let's see. K Dixie says, is that a type of humor is not appreciated in the chat? That's true, K Dixie. KG Wilcox says, I'm glad the legal age for tattoos in Pennsylvania is 18. I'm pretty sure it was in Pennsylvania where I got my tattoo. So I was living in Baltimore, going to college, and I think I started college at 17. As soon as I turned 18, I went out and got a tattoo. And I will stand by my testimony that the only thing my tattoo symbolizes is the indiscretion of youth. And quick story, you know, I was actually pretty keen on getting a tattoo at the time. I'd saved up a ton of money for it. I wanted to get something really dope, like a big dragon, like right here. And I found the picture of the dragon I wanted. And the guy's like, oh, that's a cool picture. That's going to take 2 or 3 hours. And never having had a tattoo before, I said, what can I get for 20 minutes? like 2 to 3 hours. Like I heard it was painful. 2 to 3 hours of painful sounded like a lot. So I said, what can I do for 20 minutes? And he took out the notebook and showed me all these little dinky pictures. And I was like, all right, I'll take that one. And so I picked my tattoo. It wasn't anything personal. I picked my tattoo out of a catalog because it could be done in 20 minutes. And I never got another one after that. So I'll just say, like, you know, if you get a tattoo because you're a dumb kid, like I was a dumb kid, and you make tshuva for that, if you become Jewish, it's not going to count against you with the whole cemetery thing. So, whatever. Let's have a little fun here on Fun Friday. Thanks everybody for being here. Let's see. We are going to go to the game time, y'all. All right, let's see what's up with Mario. So Mario is always asking for a resume before we start, so let's go ahead and show them our resume. Let's see, I've been a rabbi for 5 years now and plus. Before that I was in school. Before that I was a financial analyst and computer programmer. But we are back in the cold kingdom. So there's a lot of snow where we are. It's kind of unfortunate. Mario was previously in a tropical climate. And now Mario is in a cold place. I'm a little disappointed because I thought we got to the place where he's going before this, but okay. So welcome to the Jew Curious Show. This is a show where we answer whatever questions you have about Judaism, wherever your curiosity is coming from, whether you are Jewish, not yet Jewish. What's going on over here? There's like another thing over there. Oop, 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 so cold. Oh, so cold, Mario. What? Okay, so I think I just wasted a little bit of time there. But I'm willing to explore this kingdom. If you're curious about Judaism, this is the place for you. I fully believe. I mean, I think this is I do what I do because Judaism has given me a life of greater meaning, a life of greater joy, human connection, personal growth. And so if that's what it can offer you, I am here to answer whatever questions you have. Woo! Let's see. Trigger Snap was here. Okay, duty calls. Love to you all. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for being here, Trig. So we are here in Shiveria. Is it like Siberia with shivering, which is kind of redundant? Hint art, okay. Oh, wait a minute, there's a power moon up there. Never noticed that before. There's a power moon right there. Sometimes you just got to check out the entrance to Shiveria. Let's see. Hebrewski is here. Good to see you, Hebrewski. Also, just want to say, if anyone is looking for an easy and delicious kosher breakfast, sliced Persian cucumber, or regular cucumber, 2 halved hard-boiled eggs, salt and pepper and hummus, total game changer. That sounds great. Like, I remember reading at one point that cucumbers are a blood cleanser. Boiled eggs, good source of protein and healthy fats. Let's see, salt and pepper and hummus. Hummus just goes with everything. So, Christy B is in the house from Sacramento, California. Says that sounds delicious. All right. Let's see, what is this? You need a rounder body if you want to race. Interesting. What does this guy have to say? Didn't mean to jump on you there, dude. Just trying to say, talk to you. That monster stole our racing prize, the frosted cake. The scoundrel. I sense a boss battle coming on. As if that weren't bad enough, he blocked the entrance to our race course. We need power moons to get back in. All right, well, I'm pretty good at power moons, even though I'm freezing cold in tropical clothing. What is the secret you are seeking? I know it. I know it. Haha. I can't tell you, but I'll give you a clue. Behind Snowy Mountain. Is there snow here? Really? I hadn't noticed. Okay, let's go find that. All right. So, I missed the race course. We have different places to go and alternatives. Already got a 6-heart head start. Let's see what's going on in there. Hebrewski, let's see, it's super easy, sounds good for lunch as well. Hebrewski says, oh good, because I had beer last night, gotta cleanse my blood, faux show. Okay. Alright, there's something going on here. Guess I gotta get some power moons to, whoop. Wah! Didn't end as well as I had hoped. So let's try this area again. This guy's dressed like Santa, apparently. Whoop, 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 whoop. Oh, this is ice. That's why. Having a harder time moving around. If I get that power moon, maybe I can get into the Shiveria race course. Alright, there's a little dot there. I want to be careful of that dot. Boop. Up at stop. Boop-a-doo. Gonna go up in here. There, and I like a snap. Boop. Boop. So I'm going through the gold rings. Doo-doo-doo. See you later, Santa Shroom. Oh, what the Mario. Okay, sometimes people die when they do stuff. Okay. Come on, follow me. Four. Why does it have the number 4 on it? Maybe I need to have 4 of these mushroom guys to land on there. Alright, I guess that's not going to happen. Let's see, Hebrewski says, if Yom Kippur is like a rehearsal of our death, and we refrain from bathing, eating, etc. because the dead don't bathe or eat, then why do we still wear talitot or tzitzit? The dead are also talked about as yearning to do these mitzvot, but being unable to. Excellent question, Hebrewski. So it's a balance. Like, I'll say, there are aspects of Yom Kippur, the ways in which we deprive ourselves and afflict our souls. In the Torah, it doesn't say fast, for example. It doesn't say you have to, like, not eat or drink for 25 hours. It says you afflict yourself, and then later in the Talmud and the law codes, etc., it says, okay, how do we afflict ourselves? We do it by fasting, right? That's the way they imagined. Okay, how do you? What's like the worst thing you can do voluntarily to afflict yourself? And they said, how about we don't eat or drink for 25 hours? We don't bathe. We don't wear leather that would give us comfort. We don't have marital relations, things like that. And it says, okay, we do these things that we rehearse death. However, we also do things living people do, like wear talit with tefillin and things. Or what does it say? We don't wear tefillin. We wear talitot that have tzitzit attached. So we're still human, but in certain ways we're rehearsing our death, or we're other interpretations is we behave as angels behave. Like angels don't eat or drink or have sex or wear leather because they fly and stuff. Leather was principally because it was a comfort item. Like if you live in a place with cobblestone streets, leather comes in terribly handy on the bottom of your shoes. So in those ways we eschew material comforts of living people. At the same time, we are still alive, and as long as we're still alive, we can still do mitzvot like wearing a talit with tzitzit on it. So, yes, it's a kind of a gray area between life and death that we're still wearing tzitzit. So it's okay. Like you can still be alive and then rehearse sort of angelic or death-like behavior alternatively. Good question, though. Wow. Why does he have to go in there? Can we get through the floor somehow? Can we get through the floor somehow? Hey. Ah! So that must have something to do with that 4 mushroom thing that happens over there. Oh, hey, these mushrooms don't slide around like the other people do. Let's see, Christy B says, I have to say, for my first High Holidays services, I did not anticipate liking the shofar as I did. Okay. I was really surprised at how it made me feel. Do you guys have any favorite parts of the service? Good question. So I'll say, like, the shofar I experienced in a different way this year than I had before. Like there was at one moment, you know, mostly we're just running through services. We're trying to get to the end. If you're a professional up on the bima trying to help other people through, you're going by the program. But I had this moment where I just closed my eyes. I heard the shofar and I connected with this tradition in a way I never had before and experienced like, okay, what must the shofar have sounded like to our ancient people when they used the shofar as a battle cry or a battle gathering tool, or when the Torah is given at Mount Sinai, it says there are shofar blasts. What must it have been like receiving the Torah from God, hearing shofar blasts? And it says every time that the encamped Jewish people got up and moved camp, they were signaled to do so with the shofar blast. So it was like, what might that have been like to be a part of this encampment that hears the shofar blast, packs up everything and moves? So that really kind of connected with me this year. And then after the first day of Rosh Hashanah, we went over to some friend's house for like a celebratory Rosh Hashanah dinner. And one of my best friends said like he had the same experience. Like he heard the shofar, imagined what that must have been like in ancient times, and just sort of did some time travel, just felt that. And this is a really like strong human being, and he said I was just moved to tears by that. And so I get that, Christy B, and thank you for sharing that. Kay Dixie says, we like what one rabbi said, that we are to afflict ourselves but don't have to torture ourselves. I like that as well. Hebruski says, wonderful, thank you for that answer. Okay, I'm off. Got to go learn some Espanol. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Hebruski. Thanks for being here. Christy B says, that sounds wonderful. So glad to hear everybody here. Kay Dixie says that Christy B got to hear an entire group of shofar blowers. Amazing. We did that too at our synagogue, where it wasn't just one shofar blower. It was multiple shofar blowers distributed around the room. But the Gabbai, the person who leads the Torah service, but also had kind of rallied together our shofar bugle corps and led them in shofar blowing in a very like tight, synchronized way, was just really moving and profound. So I hope other people have that experience as well. So let's see. One more guy. Come on, guy. Waiting for you here, buddy. Da, 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 da. Hey, this is Power Moon. What's up? Da, da, da. Ice dodging Goomba stack. Don't mind if I do. D. Alexin says, I've never thought of Yom Kippur as a rehearsal for death. Rather, it is the one day, most likely because that's all we can manage, where we focus on our neshama and act purely as spiritual beings, i.e. like the angels. So I'll say I've heard traditions of both. Like in some ways it's, you know, when you're receiving ultimate judgment, let's say, you know, for some people call it a rehearsal of death, in terms of, you know, denying sort of all of our bodily, worldly pleasures. Others sort of as angel rehearsal, like we act like angels. That's a couple of different perspectives, but both are let's say, traditional, historic, and legitimate. Oop. Okay. Oh, why did you do that? Says there must be some way. Okay. Huh. Can we get through the floor here somehow? There's a circle in the ground. Interesting. Okay, there's another one. Oh, I see what's happening here. If we can get all of these. There we go. There's a little power moon down there. All right, if you're just joining us, this is the Jew Curious Show, where we answer questions from people who are curious about Judaism. Thank you for being here. If you are Jewish, not Jewish yet, if you are sort of a seeker trying on different paths, or if you're fully committed to another faith and but you're curious about the Jewish roots of your own tradition, you are most welcome here. Feel free to ask whatever questions you have about Judaism, about the Jewish holidays. Specifically, I'm really curious about today what people's holidays experience was like. If you were celebrating Rosh Hashanah, if you have questions about Yom Kippur coming up, that's a holiday that's happening. Let's see, as of this recording, it's happening Wednesday, actually Tuesday night. If you have questions about Yom Kippur, please ask them here. Happy to answer whatever questions I can, because I fully believe that that studying Jewish traditions can lead to a life of greater meaning, greater joy, greater human connection, and greater personal growth. That's what it's done for me, and so I'm just here paying it forward for other people as well. So, but on Fridays we do it while playing video games, so I hope that's okay with you. It's totally okay with me. Noah64 says, hey, how are folks here observing Yom Kippur? Good question. I'm going to my going to the synagogue where I work, and we're observing Yom Kippur there. Whoop, whoop. Okay, we got 3 out of 5 mini moons. That's a 4 mini moons. Well, there we go. Come over here, buddy. Pick me up. Let me out. Is there another thing I should do over here? Feels like Splinter Cell. I don't know if anybody played Splinter Cell back in the day. Okay, Dix, let's see. Woolen Bullet is here. Good to see you, Woolen Bullet. Rosh Hashanah was great. I learned how to round braid my challah. That is a skill, let me tell you. I'm not a challah braider, but I don't understand how you braid something into a round challah. My wife does it, and I'm always doing something else when she's doing that, so I never see how it's done, but I'm impressed. Round braid my challah for the first time. In the past, I braided them like normal and just connected the top and tail. Okay. Speaker AJ says, I'm going to 2 synagogues because I got separate honors at each. Not bragging, just sharing, but it will be a full and exhausting day. I'm with you, man. 100%. K Dixie says, if you're enjoying this fun learning opportunity, consider subscribing. It's only $4.99 per month. That's nice. You also get rid of all the commercials that when you watch the show. Great to see everybody supporting each other in their new Rosh Hashanah stuff. Doop, boopity boop, boop, boop. Got a moon. Treasure in the ice wall. Whoop, whoop. Okay. Little hand over hand Mario action. It's like Sam Fisher from Splinter Cell. Yabba-dabba-ba-dabba. Ice wall barrier. Don't mind if I do. K Dixie says 100 cheers for Speaker AJ. Very nice. There's a couple things you could do just because people are talking about it. You could subscribe to this channel. That means when you watch the videos on Twitch, it is commercial free. It's a little bit like cable for online streaming internet shows. And another thing you can do is you can throw cheers. So cheers, like if you're on the Twitch platform, you could buy these things called bits. It's like $1 a bit, or like $1.40 for 100 bits, something like that. And then when something exciting happens, you can throw some cheer. When somebody else joins, when somebody follows, then you can throw some cheer. And that's just a celebratory thing. Also, some of that money comes back and helps us invest in this channel, meaning we get our bandwidth covered, we get our equipment covered, I can buy new games to play, things like that. So think about that if you will. Woolen Bullet says, let's see, Nawa64 says, Woolen Bullet, thanks. However, there's a big difference between seeing and doing. True that. All right, let's get in the pipe here. Let's see, there were 4 barriers, so you got 2 to go. I see what's happening here. I got to overcome these 4, go through 4 little obstacle courses to get power moons to overcome these 4 barriers, and then I can do whatever it is they're doing here in Shiveria. Woo! Oop, excuse me, spiky turtle. Alright, there's got to be something to that there. Hey, hey, hey. Come below over here, guy. Oh, there we go. Blowing all the spiky turtle dudes into the pink goo. That was pretty easy. He said, not knowing how hard it might be in the future. Iberski says, I'm back. My tutor canceled on me. So sorry about that, but glad to have you back. Nawa64 asks, does anyone else have a recording of the Book of Jonah for Yom Kippur? Let's see what else. This reminds me, I need to go check out the multi-chat, see what questions I'm missing. Let's see. I gotta make the text bigger here. try to do that. Let's see. Den something Browning. Hi, Rabbi. Shabbat Shalom. Is it too early to say that? Not at all. If it's Friday, you can say Shabbat Shalom. You can say Shabbat Shalom on Thursday. The idea is if you see somebody and you think you might not see them before Shabbat, you can say Shabbat Shalom, starting like Wednesday night, I think. So let's see. Hebrewski. Also just want to say if anybody is looking for an easy and delicious kosher breakfast, we got some cucumbers there. So much stuff in the chat. Sorry I missed some of this stuff. Do a reading of Jonah. Wooden Bullet says, I was anxious that I was able to do it either. Just set my laptop on my counter and followed the challah, one challah at a time. So people are asking about Jonah. So the book of Jonah is something, we actually read this on Mincha, the afternoon service of Yom Kippur. The Haftarah is the entire book of Jonah. So if you're curious about a story about a reluctant prophet who gets swallowed by a big fish. Sometimes it's called a whale. Just in the Torah it says a big fish. So there's a great fish story in our tradition, and that is the book of Jonah. I'm more curious about this. Lately I've been listening to the book Sapiens. If you've heard of this book, it's been pretty popular lately. It's talking about kind of an anthropological history of humankind or humankinds, and how the human race as we know it, Homo sapiens, was actually one of many human species that dominated and kind of edged out other human species, and then our history since then. And it was talking about this idea of prophecy, and if a prophet prophesied and said, like, look, if you don't repent, bad things are going to happen, and then people repent, and then the bad things don't happen, and then whoever hired the prophet said, well, gosh, what good are you? The things you said weren't going to happen didn't happen. And this reminded me of the book of, or Sefer Yonah, or the book of Jonah, or Megillat Yonah, as the case may be. Jonah comes to the city of Nineveh after, some tribulations and getting vomited up by a fish. Says he came to the city of Nineveh, says, repent or bad things are going to happen. And they repented. They listened to him. And they repented and bad things didn't happen. And he's like, why did I even come? Like, my prophecy was didn't come true. And so they're going to think I'm a big dumb dummy, right? Like, they're going to think I'm an idiot false prophet because bad things didn't happen. And God said, like, look, I didn't send you there to be right. Like, I sent you there. I didn't send you there to give a prophecy that came true. I sent you there so that you would give a prophecy that would encourage them to make tshuva, to turn their lives around. And sure, the thing that you said was going to happen didn't happen, and you're embarrassed by that. But that was the plan all along. Like, the job of the prophet is to be wrong, if I can say that. The job of the prophet is to say, if things don't change, bad stuff's going to happen. If you're good at being a prophet, then people will change things, and everything that you said would happen doesn't happen. And so that's kind of the life. Like, that's the job of the prophet, is to, if you're good at it, to be wrong, right? Isaiah came out and said, and we read this on Yom Kippur as well, like, is this the fast that God requires? Right? God would rather you feed the poor, and or instead of fasting punctiliously and not eating, but still counting your, gold shekels or whatever. And God said, like, I would rather you not be punctilious to the religion and feed poor people who don't have food to eat. That's the fast that God's looking for. And so, if Isaiah did his job, people would maybe be having a snack, but also feeding all the poor people in their midst. And so that's kind of the ups and downs of being a prophet, I guess. I mean, I'm not one, so I couldn't tell you. Is that if you're doing your job as a prophet, all the bad stuff you say is going to happen doesn't happen, because people listen to you, and whoop, whoop, Okay, I guess I gotta jump on this flower. Get over there. Oh, this is kind of scary. Whee! I don't know. I feel like a boss battle coming on here. It's about dang time, too. Oh! Let's see what else is going on in the chat. Christy B says, I have a cookbook recommendation, Sababa by Adina Sussman. So delicious, and most of the recipes are great for vegetarians. Loving these recipes. Very good recommendation. I haven't seen that one. There's the Jerusalem cookbook. If you can find that, they often have it at Costco. Is a good one as well. Let's see. Reading of Jonah. Now, let's see. Good cookbook recommendation. Tea for RPG. Hey Rabbi, I don't have any grape juice or wine, and it's too late to get to the store. What should be done? You could make, so presumably you're talking about kiddush, like what can I make kiddush with? And the rule is, if you're interested in the rules for kiddush, you can make kiddush out of anything except water. Like if you're making, if you're looking for wine or grape juice or things like that, it doesn't have to be a grape beverage. That's sort of considered the ideal or the normal way of doing things. If you can make kiddush with wine, and you say B'rei Pri Hagafen, that's fine. If you for whatever reason you're not a drinker, or drinking alcohol is bad for you, can you do grape juice with the same blessing? You can do it with whiskey, with a shekol b'varo. You can do it with coffee with the same blessing. You can make kiddush with bread. If you don't have any beverages, you can make kiddush with bread. Just say hamotzi lechem min haaretz, like you would make a normal bread blessing. The only thing that we don't make kiddush with is water. But I'll say, like, if you have nothing else and all you have is water, do the water. But if you have anything else besides water, make kiddush with those things. You can do it with bread. You can do it with a Snickers bar. I'm just projecting because I love Snickers bars. You could do it with a Taco Bell bean quesarito, black bean quesarito. I'm really enjoying their new vegetarian menu. You could do it with anything you want to do. Water is sort of the lowest rank on the totem pole, but you can make kiddush with absolutely anything. Just adjust the blessing as you need. If it's not wine or grape juice, you don't do B'rei Pri Hagafen, you do something else. The sort of catch-all blessing is the Shehakol, Baruch Atah Hashem, Shehakol Niyeh Bivaro, like, God who makes everything. And that's the blessing for something that doesn't have another blessing for it, or you don't know the blessing. Just say Shehakol Niyeh Bivaro after Baruch Atah Hashem, and you're fine. So hopefully that's helpful for you. If you can't get wine, if you can't get grape juice, you can make kiddush with anything. Ideally, it's with the celebratory beverage of your people or your nation. It says, let's say if you're in a part of the world where wine and grapes don't grow, Viking Jews presumably could make kiddush with mead. If you're in Germany and you don't have grapes, maybe you could do it with beer. If you're in East Texas, maybe you make it with Big Red Soda Pop, which is what I think of as the celebratory beverage of East Texas, either Big Red or Dr. Pepper. You could do that. That's a shehakol, by the way. So whatever the celebratory beverage, if you're in West Virginia, it's Mountain Dew, and I can say that because I lived in West Virginia. I can make fun of my own people. Whatever the celebration beverage of the place is, you can make kiddush with that, and that's okay. Adjust your blessing accordingly. And that's how it's done. Let's see, margaritas. Yes, can you make a kiddush with margaritas? Yes, if you celebrate with margaritas, absolutely. Make kiddush with margaritas. Let's see. Thanks, it's good to know. I saw a documentary Doing Jewish about an African community. They had no wine, so they did kiddush with Coca-Cola. You can absolutely do kiddush with Coca-Cola, right? If that's how your people celebrate with Coca-Cola. And that, I think, is also a shakol. It's like a shakol niyeh bivaro, that blessing right there. Let's see. Nawa 64 says, "I love Big Red. I know you're in Colorado. I didn't know Big Red made it all the way to Colorado. If you're not familiar with Big Red, it is sort of a cherry-ish cream soda. It's like cream soda with red food coloring. Might have kind of a cherry flavor, just psychosomatically. But that's what I grew up on. That was my favorite soda. Every time I get to East Texas, I get like a can or a bottle of Big Red. I did that this summer. It says no Big Red here. Used to get in Kentucky. Okay. Celebratory beverage. That's good to know. Kiddush over margaritas. Lol. Mexican American Jew here. Right on. Very good, Hebrewski. So that's, especially that's something I've discovered in California, more so than, let's say, the Midwest or the East Coast where I've lived before. We have a lot of Jews of like Latinx origin or descent or what have you, and so you can be Jewish and be Mexican. You can be Jewish and be Latino, Latina, what have you, and whatever your community does to celebrate, that's appropriate for Kiddush. So the Jewish community has, since exile a couple of thousand years ago, has always been a diverse community, right? If somebody says there's one way of being Jewish or looking Jewish, there's one kind of Jewish last name, that sounds kind of German or sounds kind of Russian or whatever, that's, maybe prevalent but not exclusively true, in the sense that Jewish people have always traveled and sojourned among different other communities and picked up customs from those communities. And so you can have a totally legitimate Jewish existence with elements of the Latin American culture in your life, elements of the African culture in your life, what have you. If you're combining your culture with things that are connecting you to God and the covenant with the Jewish people, that's totally okay, and even to be celebrated, in my opinion. So other rabbis might have different takes on that, but that's this rabbi's opinion. So let's see what's up with our boss battle here. We got the Brutals here. The boss man sure is fussy bat cake. Reckon we got the best one, though. I guess they got a frosted cake. Here we are in our boss battle with the Brutals. Oop, wasn't paying attention. I was looking at the chat. Whoop. So, let's see what this guy's up to. Whoop. Let me capture one of those hats. The ice is really hard. Alrighty then. That's 2. Oh, got killed. All right. Pencil Rocks is in the house. Thank you, everybody, for joining me for this. This is just a little bit of, this is me just kind of letting off some steam after some wonderful Rosh Hashanah celebrations here in Southern California. I'm not going to lie to you, it was a little bit tense. I was in a new community for the first time, and I was a little bit nervous, but it came off really, really well. I just want to take a moment to acknowledge the wonderful leaders, teachers, musicians at the Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center that it was my great pleasure to celebrate with. Our wonderful cantor, just really, really talented, really, really knowledgeable and wise and kind, and we had a great time. And I gave some pretty decent sermons. So I'll say, I haven't said this before, the sermons that I gave were recorded. I mean, we did a live streaming thing, which means that they were sort of passively recorded, and pretty soon, I'm still trying to figure out how to do this, pretty soon the sermons that I gave on Rosh Hashanah will be publicly available, whether by text or by video or by audio. Working on that now, so that if anybody's curious about what I talked about on Erev Rosh Hashanah Day 1 and Rosh Hashanah Day 2, I'm going to say, like, I gave some of my favorite sermons that I've ever given. So stay tuned for that. Those will be available online, text, video, audio pretty soon. So stay tuned for that. Maybe even one or two before Shabbos. So we'll see how that goes. Hebrewski says, on top of that, I think it's really beautiful because we can make a new Jewish culture. Also, my rabbi who doesn't like that, where do they think even the commonly understood Ashkenazi, Sephardi, Mizrahi diversity came from? It came from folks doing Jewish where they were. True that. Well said. Kay Dixie says, well said, Hebrewski, thanks. Now, 164 says, I'm absolutely curious. Will you post them on YouTube and or in the Jew Curious School? So I'll say if you're in the Jew Curious School, that's where I'll probably post them first, just because we've got some really dedicated students that have honored me with learning with me. So we'll see that they're first, but I'm going to make them available publicly as well. So stay tuned for that. I'm just trying to figure out how to download those and get them transcribed. The hard thing for me is my sermons are sort of partly planned, partly improvisational. So I have certain texts that when I'm preparing a sermon, my mode is the things that I want to make sure I quote accurately, like something from the Talmud or another source. I'll write all that down verbatim, and then I'll kind of improvise in between to put together a little bit of extemporaneous. And so it's always challenging for me. Afterwards, people say, hey, Rabbi, I love that sermon. Can I get a copy of it? And I'm like, no, because I just made it up on the spot and there isn't a copy of it. But what I'm able to do this year is then to take those and get them transcribed so people can hear verbatim what they were all about. And they're going to be available pretty soon. So stay tuned for that. I'll put them in the Jew Curious School as well as publicly available online. So that's all I can say is stay tuned. This is a brave new world for me for live streaming and stuff like that. Let's see what the Brutals are all about here. Let's try to get through this boss battle, and we'll talk more about that. If you're just joining us, welcome to the Jew Curious Show. We get together typically a couple of times a week to answer whatever questions you have about Judaism, whether you're Jewish, not Jewish yet, spiritual seeker, somebody who's committed to another faith, but you're curious about the Hebrew roots of your own tradition. You are in the right place. My name's John Carrier, your friendly neighborhood rabbi, and I'm here to answer whatever questions you have. Especially today, I'm curious about what was your experience like over Rosh Hashanah, and what questions do you have about Yom Kippur, fasting, praying, like what's the structure of that day like? Ask those questions here, and because it's Friday, we do this thing called Fun Friday where I answer those questions from the chat while playing video games. So this is, I didn't go to rabbinical school to play video games in public, but there you go. So let's see what else is going on. How to convince your shul to live stream? That's a good question. Okay, so I've already, sorry, I was paying attention to something else. I'm already 1 heart behind. 2 hearts behind. Drat. And smack. Let's see, there's got to be a heart around here somewhere. Whoop. Ah, I got the heart, and then I got... And put the smack down on this fellow. Now, okay, that's 2. Just need 1 more without getting killed. And maybe this will do it. Boosh! Can non-Jewish people also make atonement on Yom Kippur? I don't see why not. I mean, this is specifically a holiday for Jewish people to make atonement. Like, not, if you're not Jewish, you don't have to observe Yom Kippur. This is a holiday for us. However, if you have whatever atonement you need to make, the gates of prayer are open. Like the gates of tshuva, the gates of atonement. When we talk about gates, like this is an anthropomorphization of heaven and God, where heaven's a place that has walls and gates and things like that, but this is how it's discussed in the Talmud. that the gates of tshuva are always open. The gates of tears are always open. Prayer, they kind of close at the end of Yom Kippur, but, if you are making atonement, that is always a good thing. It doesn't matter if you're Jewish, not Jewish. Anytime you can recognize something that you did wrong, especially if it's not to God, but to another person, right? God can forgive quite a bit. That's kind of what Rosh Hashanah is all about, or excuse me, Yom Kippur is all about, is atoning for the sins between a person and God. But Maimonides says that God does not forgive you for something you did to someone else until you attempt to make amends with that person, right? This is something that I think is distinct about the Jewish culture, is that, other cultures say, well, God can forgive me for everything. In Judaism, yes, God can forgive quite a bit, or God will forgive quite a bit, but if you hurt not just God, but another person, you have to make atonement with that person before God will consider forgiving you. And so that's a big piece of what Yom Kippur is all about. So yes, you can make atonement on Yom Kippur, even if you're not Jewish. The Jewish tradition is that if you have some sort of gap between you and another person, if you've impaired that relationship somehow, you need to seek their forgiveness first, right? It's about your actions in this world. And if you can seek that forgiveness from another person, and that person gives that forgiveness, then God is like, okay, if they're happy, I'm happy, right? If you've made an attempt at amends, that's good enough for me, but you have to make that attempt first. So that's something that's distinct about sort of the Jewish view of Yom Kippur versus other traditions' view of this biblical holiday. So hope that's helpful for you. Christy B is peacing out. Kay Dixie says, oh, right, thanks, Christy, take care. So let's see, we've done our boss battle here, and kind of time we got. Oh, we're going to have to end pretty soon. I've got a phone call at 11 o'clock Pacific time. So we'll go for about another, 15, 20 minutes. We have defeated all we need to defeat in Shiberia Town, and now there's going to be, there's a round guy race that's happening pretty soon, if the memory serves. Let's see, Snowline Circuit. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. Oh, hey, big guy. You can't start without one more racer. What does this guy say? One racer won't come out of the waiting room. What's taking so long? So I think what I'm going to have to do is hat possess another racer, and then I can participate. Let's see, Nawa64 says, Shabbat Shalom, y'all. Challah calls. Thank you for being here, Nawa64. Yep, Challah has its own schedule. So I guess this is like the racer locker room. Whee! What's up, guy? What's up, little racer guy? Ooh. Race? I don't want to. The other racers are too serious. I don't stand a chance. If someone else wanted to race, they would be welcome to take my place. I'm going to hit you with my hat. Boop. Oh, now I'm a racer with a Mario mustache. Bound. Boop. Boop. Boop, 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 boop. Might as well get some Skrilla while I'm here. Whoop. Finally, now we can start the race. Oh my goodness gracious, now I'm a racist, apparently. Our frosted cake was stolen, so the price will be a multi-moon. I like the sound of that. Are you ready to race now? Of course I am! What kind of question is that? It's been a while since we've had a race, so we'll start with some training. Okay, I can hang with that. What's going on here? Hebruski says, why do machzors have to be so freaking big? My neck and shoulders can't take it. So this is a multi-layered question. A machzor, just in case you don't know, is the prayer book for High Holy Days. For High Holy Days, we have our own special prayer book, and it's called a machzor because the prayers for High Holidays are unique. They're pretty much like other prayers at other times of the year. Okay, so quit training. I'm going to start the race here. So yes, the Moxors are big. These are, we normally have a prayer book called a Siddur, which means like the order of prayer. But on High Holy Days, because the prayers are unique, most of the same prayers as the High Holy Days, but some additional ones as well with our Torah readings. Yeah, but they are big. I'm not going to lie to you. They are significant. Did I win the race? Oh, how many laps do I have to do? 2 out of 3 laps. Nope, pal. Woo-doo-doo-doo. 3 out of 3. Okay, here we go. So yes, Moxors are big. These are our prayer for the High Holy Days. The nice thing about Moxorim is that they have, or Moxorot, I forget whether that's feminine or masculine. The nice thing about a Moxor is that it also has the Torah readings in there. So the good news is you don't have to carry a Chumash. You don't have to carry a... Oh, I was second place! Yeah, you can just have the prayers there, and you also have the Torah readings there as well. You don't have to carry a second book, which is a Chumash, which is the Torah readings. So in one sense, yes, it's heavier, it's thicker than the regular prayer book, but you don't have to carry a second book. So that's kind of nice too. So let's see, I didn't win the lap. I really wanted a multi-moon. We're going to try that again without me explaining what a Moxor is all about. Ready to try again? Yes, I am. Shivarian Elder. The elder of the Shivarian people. Alright, there's a little platform. How do I get up there? Alright, here we go. Serious. Game face. Shivarian bouncing race. Ah, that's a tricky one. Right. All right, here we go. Woo! First place. Take that. Shivarians. I feel like a little bit of an interloper here. Let's see. Wonder Bullet says I just propped mine up on my front seat neighbor's chair back last year. That's how you handle Moxor. You just put it up in front of you that way. Let's see. I hear about your muscle problems make it difficult holding this heavy book. Hebruski says, lol. Woolen Bullet, same here. Or set mine down in front of my friend's book. Yeah, Moxors can be big and thick, but at least you don't have to carry that second book because all your Torah readings are in there. Okay, best lap. Let's see. Now I'm pretty sure, because I got first place, I get a multi-moon. What a race. You were like a supersonic snowman. Your prize is a multi-moon. Da, 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 da. Does that give me enough to get in the Odyssey and go someplace else? As long as I'm wearing tropical clothing in a winter wonderland. I got a multi-moon in the Bound Bowl Grand Prix. Yeah! Well, let's see what's up here. Da-da-da. Oh, I think I have enough to get out of here. I'm sure it's a wonderful place. but I'm kind of cold. So we'll see where we go next, and then I think we're going to call it a day, just because I've got some more Rabbi stuff to do today before Shabbat. Let's see, we are on our way. The Odyssey has powered up. I wonder if we're going to the food place next. Boy, the food place, that's an interesting place. Let's see. Ooh. Oh, to the Luncheon Kingdom. On to the Luncheon Kingdom. Yes, that's where I thought we were going. Bowser can't run forever. The Luncheon Kingdom. Really? A whole kingdom based on lunch. Breakfast Kingdom? Dinner Kingdom? No. Luncheon? Not even Lunch Kingdom, like the Luncheon. That's more of a fancy lunch. Luncheon Kingdom. Let's see. Cheer 200. Right on, K-Diz. Who cheered us? K Dixie cheered us 200 bits. Thank you so much, K Dixie. That's so cool. It looks a little bit different in the multi-chat here. Really glad to have you here and cheering us on. One of the beautiful parts of the high holidays is that you'll share various collaborative moments of, I don't know where the hell we are with our neighbors. I love that. That's like one of my favorite parts here is like, what's going on here? And, you know, you're in a room full of people who feel, yeah, that's, like for me, this is like one of the big misconceptions of participating in Jewish community, especially if you're new to it or it's your first time back in a while. You walk into a synagogue and everything's in like a different language, and you're like, where are we? Everybody here must know more than I do, right? This is an assumption, and I've had this experience, and other people have had this experience that I've talked to. You walk into a place and you're like, oh, everybody here knows what's up. Like what page we're on, what this Hebrew prayer says. I feel like a dummy. And then you realize like so many people there are in the same boat as you. And I love Hebrewski for calling this out. Like, you know, it's this great communal moment of like, where the hell are we in the service? Like, what page are we on? What does this prayer mean? Is it time for lunch yet? Like that sort of thing. Not so much on Yom Kippur, there's no lunch, but like, that collective moment of feeling insecure. And I'm going to say that's like a feature and not a bug, right? This is a time where communities get together in their insecurity, right? You're there to make atonement. You're there for self-improvement. You're there for abasing yourself, feeling a little bit vulnerable. And you should know that other people are there feeling vulnerable as well. So I know that you meant maybe something else by that, this feeling like, okay, what page are we on? Where the heck are we in the service? There's a deeper track there in the sense that, yeah, there's might be 100, 200, 500, 1,000 people in the room that are asking that deep existential question, where the hell are we, right? Where am I in my life? And where that might not be what you meant, but like people are there to ask that question, where am I? Where do I want to be? What's that gap? How do I bridge it? Right? How do I close that gap? So I'm going to say this is probably the most profound lesson of the High Holy Days for me, is that feeling of a collective, where the hell are we, is entirely appropriate at Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Where are we? How do we take stock of where we are, of where we're coming from, of the new year that we want to have, either as a community or as individuals? Where the heck are we? If you can answer that question, man, that is Yom Kippur, right? Or if you can humble yourself and be open to figuring that answer out in your community with other people who are just as insecure as you are, and figuring that out together and knowing like, I don't know where I'm going to go next, but we're in the same boat and I know these people got my back. If you can achieve that kind of security and solidarity with other people in the room in the midst of uncertainty, that's how you know it's working. Like that's what Yom Kippur is all about. So, wow. I never thought I would have this kind of holy, well, I love this community. I love this live stream. We do a lot of holy learning together. I never thought I would have that kind of holy clarity about the High Holy Days on Twitch. So I think that was from, I just want to make sure. Yep, that was from Hebrewski. So I'm gonna figure out a way to work that into my sermon. My sermons are largely like done, but Yeah, I'm gonna figure out a way to work that in and give you credit for that, Hebrewski, because I think you just like rewrote my Yom Kippur sermon for me. So thank you for that. I don't know if that was your intention. One of the beautiful parts of the high holidays. Yep, it takes the pressure off. That's true. So Ayeka, it says Hebrewski like Ayeka is that's where God is saying that's that. Wow. Oh, I'm like I'm tearing up. Like, I'm not crying, you're crying. Well, my allergy medicine's not kicked in yet. Like, Ayeka, Hebrews says in this question that, like, Ayeka, that's quoting God from Genesis. It says to Adam, after Adam takes a bite of the apple, where are you? Right? That's the great question. Where are you right now? And it's not, and it's an entirely rhetorical question. It's not like God doesn't know where Adam is. God is asking Adam to answer that question for Adam's self. And so that's the best High Holy Day Torah that I've ever heard, and it came out of a live stream on Fun Friday while playing Super Mario Odyssey. So Hebrewski and everybody in the community that made that moment possible, thank you so much for that. So hats off to you, buddy. Really appreciate that. So let's just see. I'm going to start crying if I dwell on it too long. Let's see where Mario's going next, and then we're going to call it a day. And gosh, thank you guys so much for being a part of this community. I know we're in the midst of holidays. I wanted to take some time on Friday to have a little fun on Fun Friday in between, and man, I'm glad I did, because I think I just got a brand new Yom Kippur sermon out of it. So, wow. Oh my goodness gracious. So I don't care about, tips on moving Mario here. Let's get to the Luncheon Kingdom. I just want to say Shechianu or something. It was just like such a holy moment right there. Amen. So thank you so much. Wow. Okay. I got to remember that. Oh, like, God forbid I let that moment go. All right. Let's go to the Luncheon Kingdom before I start getting too emotional. It looks like it's an entire community made out of toxic slime. So sometimes community feels like that. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. All right, they're the Brutals. All right, my goodness, they're here, the Brutals. Where aren't they? Dun, dun, dun. It's lunchtime. Dun, 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 dun. That's a macaroon or something. It's a tomato. Oh, a tomato. That's corn. Running on the corn, running on the corn. Alright. Oh, okay. I'm not very good at this kingdom, apparently. K. Dixie donated 100 bits. Thank you for the special moment. Very good. So that's what the bits are all for. Like, when we have these kind of holy moments of learning together, that's how you know it's working. I'm like trying to not. Woo-hoo-hoo. Ah. All right, so I think just because I've got to make a phone call here in about 5 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Listen, everybody, thank you so much for joining us for the Jew Curious Show. This particular Fun Friday edition, we made it through the Kingdom of Shiveria, and now we're in the Luncheon Kingdom, so that's where we're going to pick up next Fun Friday. Really grateful to hear about people's experiences of Rosh Hashanah, what it was like in your community. Happy to share about how it was in my community, which was amazing. and answer many questions about Yom Kippur and things like that. And to share this holy moment with our community member Hebruski, of that collective feeling of where the hell am I, on a superficial, like what page number are we on, but a more deep metaphysical level as well. So that's the kind of moments we're going for, only made possible by the kind and thoughtful people here in the Jew Curious community. So thank you for allowing me to learn with you this year. I wish you nothing but success and abundant blessings in the year to come. Enjoy the holidays. If you have a question about Yom Kippur, feel free to reach out to me through this channel or on Facebook, YouTube, what have you. And until next time, heroes, Shabbat Shalom, Shana Tova, Gemar Chatima Tova, and peace. All right.